I think this show was really groundbreaking in the sense that we were able to dismantle this house, to take it apart and put up these works, put up these portraits where people can finally see themselves. And I would never have anticipated the power of that. So I realized early in my art career that representation matters. At one of my first exhibitions at Toronto Artist Project, that's when I started showing portraits of Black men, and I saw people respond so positively. It's incredible to me to look back. I would never have imagined having this exhibition and seeing so many people respond to it. I was able to have conversations with people at the openings where they literally said, I was so scared to come into this space. I have never wanted to come into spaces like this. But now that I've seen what you've done, it feels like there's an energy in here that's way more welcoming than I would have anticipated. So that speaks to the power of representation. By coming into a space like this and seeing people who look like you on the walls and having this immersive moment where you have sound and music and visuals that really pull you in, it really proves there are so many different ways to engage with people. There's so many different ways to create entry points, and representation is a simple way to do it, and it needs to be done more often. I think Toronto has a long way to go to actually level up to the diversity of the city with their cultural institutions. And this, to me, is an authentic intervention. It involved a community of artists. We looked at different ways of including food and music and all these different ways. And we also did it in a way that I think was unexpected. I think when people tend to look at certain Black cultural events, there's a certain expectation of what it needs to look like and sound like. And so when we go back to that concept of people saying they hadn't been to an event like this, that they literally hadn't, because we didn't do it in a way that would have been expected or typical. I think when we talk about the idea of reimagining, it allowed us to look at a whole context of different types of Black culture. Then, do a mashup of that and then sort of just put it back out there. Without specifically focusing on one aspect of Black culture, we were able to create something brand new with this experience. Being ignored, maybe it's because I was the youngest of 4 boys, but being ignored as an artist only made me want to work harder. I think it was confidence. I just felt that there was time for change and I needed to be part of that change. It wasn't easy because, when you enter an art competition, for example, and you see all the winners and specifically portrait prizes and every person is white, you have to start to question what's going on. When you enter an art fair one year and then get rejected the next year because your portfolio is all Black people, that's racism. And that isn't right. And so a lot of it was driven by a sense of justice, and I would call them out on it. I had nothing to lose by calling people out on stuff. When I saw things that I thought were genuinely racist or unfair, I called them out on it. And in some cases, I was still ignored, but at least I knew I took the step that I needed to take. Being the artist in residence here was kind of surreal because it was such a foreign space to me. It felt like I'd walked into an episode of Downton Abbey in my studio space. It was interesting in that I didn't realize how much a space can influence my work. Knowing that some of the history that went on here, even on the grounds. But I also think existing in a space like this is an act of rebellion. A Black person working in the capacity that I was here is an act of rebellion, is something that would never have been imagined by anybody, maybe even by the people who live in this area. What is he even doing here? I'm proud to be the person that kind of says, I'm here, get used to it. I'm proud to be the person that's going to shake things up. If shaking things up means it's going to make positive change, then I'm definitely very happy to be that person.